It is a beautiful Jen. Hi.
Hi, I'm here. I'm sorry.
Our fault. No worries at all. Poor you and Brian are like floating in some other Zoom room that we didn't know existed. So I was just saying, thank you so much for being here. I think this is such an important topic because almost, I don't know, Sarah, you could even say probably 90% of realtors start out dual career. It is a really scary profession to just quit something and jump full force into. Um, so even if I knew it wouldn't hit as many masses because some transfer into full time, which Jen, you have, but I think this is a really valuable class, one that we want to save, have in our on our YouTube page, on our agent sites, and we just can't wait to pick your brain. I have some questions we'll go over, and then if anyone who is here, I appreciate those of you who have your camera on. If you have any questions, you can put it in the chat, or we'll leave a little time at the end. Brian, I know we only have you until 2:45, but without further ado, we'll start with you, Brian. Do you want to introduce yourself and let us know what your other profession is?
I'm Brian Jackson, husband of Jill Jackson. Um, my other career is I'm also a middle school teacher for the last 17 years. I've been in the real estate for about three.
Yes. And Brian, I can tell you where you're at in our house. You're not going to get good internet, so you might need to go to another room. Um,
Is it breaking up?
I've had to move many of Zooms from there. But Brian has in these last few years, like right now, year to date, he is at 22 closed and I think 8 pending. He really is killing the game with teaching as well as being a realtor. And at Living, he's not on today, but Andre Godes, like one of our top solo agents, this is the first year he's actually just full-time real estate. There's absolutely opportunity, even dual career, to do well at both. So, Jen, without further ado, could you give us an intro? I know you are not dual career now, but let us know what you were doing along with real estate and anything else you wanted to add.
Yeah, sure. I have been licensed since 2015. I started out after college as a nurse full time, and I transitioned from a floor nurse into doing the marketing. And about 7 years into that journey of being a nurse, I just felt like I'd never had enough money. And so I wanted to figure out another way to help supplement that. So at the time boyfriend was flipping and renovating houses, and that's when I started to explore the real estate journey. So I originally got it just to help like on, weekends, make a little cash flow. And it really transitioned from just a little bit of money to putting me and aligning me a little bit differently in life so that I can, get off the hourly wages and start working full time as real estate. It took a couple years to transition into that. And it was a little more of a motivating factor that I have two young boys. I wanted to spend time with them as well. So it was like a kickstart to becoming full time as a realtor. So yeah, not only I had a career as a nurse, but I also owned and operated a horse boarding facility. So I actually sold that off in 2018, and then I also put my resignation in 2022 for nursing, and I've just been enjoying momhood and working real estate full time.
Amazing. And you are doing it all so well. So, to
Thank
get
you.
us kicked off, I think one of the biggest questions people have as far as balancing dual careers is time management. Like, how is there enough time in the day to focus on a 9 to 5 or whatever your career is, plus real estate? So, either one of you, whoever wants to kick us off, how do you prioritize your clients while not honing in on your other job? And Jen, I know that's going to be past tense for you.
That's okay. Brian, you want to
I
talk
could
on
start.
this?
Sure. I think it's just working efficiently. Just because like when I first started the real estate thing took 20 minutes to do, which I could do in 1 minute now. So it's very tough at the beginning, but you just need to be efficient with your time. like I'm constantly doing multiple things, at once, which I'm sure, everybody in real estate is as well.
Brian, do you feel like you've developed systems around it, or has it just happened with your knowledge of real estate?
No, I think there's systems, but I mean, I'm naturally a worker, so I like to be busy. It kind of gives me, self-worth to be constantly busy. And some people, aren't like that. So it could be overwhelming, I'm sure, to some other people.
Mm-hmm, for sure. Jen, what about you?
Yeah, I can ramble on hours about this because I've seen what has worked and what hasn't worked for people. But what I can say is find the system and execute on it that does work for you. And you know your current career. If you're, a hairdresser and you cannot be on your cell phone constantly, manage your clients ahead of time. Make sure that there's not going to be opportunity where they're trying to come to you for something. Set up communication. Hey, we had our home inspection yesterday. I will review the report in the morning. Does 1 o'clock work good for you to have that conversation on what repairs might need to be executed on? Because if you can set your schedule up, because there's so much stuff in real estate that you can't, but if you can set up the simple day in, day out things, I don't think you're going to lose clientele based off having another career. But another thing is, I never wanted my clients to think that my full-time job, I was transparent about it. I mean, it wasn't first and foremost in the conversation. I, wanted to sell myself as a realtor. But sometimes the elephant came up in the room that I still do work full time, or that I do also own a boarding facility. And I did lose clients over it because they just weren't comfortable and felt that they weren't going to get the attention they needed, versus, a full time realtor. But I always felt very proactive and made sure that they either didn't know that, if I'm on an appointment touring somebody at my barn, I didn't tell them, oh, I'm touring, a potential boarder at my barn. I'll get back with you soon. I just would say, I'm on an appointment. I'll be back in touch with you within 30 minutes. And that was my rule. I had a 1 hour rule. And even at my home life too, because I had dual careers and you're stretched so thin, I always let my clients know I have a 1 hour rule. If I'm on an appointment, they're usually never more than an hour. No matter what I'm doing, I can get back to you within an hour with the information or find out what's going on. And God bless texting. But even at home, I want to make sure my clients know my time was important to them. And that was my rule across the board. If I'm at an appointment with a physician lunch, they're no longer than an hour. If I'm sitting with the CEO of Southwest General Hospital pitching our hospice program, that's no longer than an hour. So my clients never went more than an hour. Now I understand there's some manufacturing jobs or, if someone works in a daycare, but you have breaks, you have scheduled time. So you just need to figure out your system. For example, Brian, he's a teacher. I mean, obviously you can't be like, hey, hold on, kiddos. I got to negotiate this new contract that comes through. But you have breaks. And then, figure out what rule would work for you and follow through on it. Because when you're working a dual career, you're two people and you have to figure out the balance of supporting time for each.
Yes, that is
Well,
so. Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
no, I was saying it's amazing, like what a Starbucks gift card could do to other teachers to say, hey, cover my classes period. I got to run somewhere real quick. And I do that probably twice a week where, I'm leaving the building and coming back to Starbucks, for whoever's helping me out at work.
Yeah,
Or at the other job.
Brian, you make a really good point. And another reason I had opportunity to leave Keller Williams twice with my prior team, and I chose to stay because of the support that it brought me, not only being a mom, and I say I'm dual career now, I'm a mom. I live on a farm and I have a teenager too, which he's licensed now, which has been a blessing. Find your systems that work. And I found my system with Keller Williams. I didn't want to keep bouncing around brokerages, trying new things, chasing, unpromised leads because I knew in the back of my hand, if I can't make it to a showing, I can post in that Facebook page and I know 7 to 10 realtors be like, I could show it for you, toss them $50, send them $75. That way your clients are getting into the properties if you're pulled another direction.
That's so, so true. And Jen, you hit the nail on the head when we first started talking about this, was setting the expectations. Like nobody expects for you to like always have your phone in your hand. But if you've set expectations, hey, I'd love to, we did get an offer. I'm going to call you at X time. They don't have to know what you're doing in the 2 hours in between, but setting the expectations and proper communication is huge. What about lead gen time? So we've talked about kind of how you're balancing a little bit. How are you still finding time to lead gen and create new business? Brian, let's start with you.
I can't hear.
Sorry. Can you hear? Did you hear the question? Jen?
Oh, he failed. My turn. So this, I'm actually a little guilty of this right now because we've been, we had new windows installed in our house and they leaked. And so I had our house was under construction for almost a year, trying to get it fixed, getting mold taken care of, you name it. So my lead gen turned into construction management time. So I'm finally going to get back into it. But when I worked full time, my conversation with my career also went hand in hand with that. I sold real estate in the evenings and weekends. So I did end up converting a lot of those in the medical field, that I was, a realtor, and I did get leads from it. But I will say Facebook can be your biggest blessing when it comes to just posting and getting your name out there and reminding people that you are in real estate. I had a hard time because I had medical professionals on my Facebook, so I was very limited. I would never post between 9 and 5 because that was my salary commitment with that company. So at 5:01, I was posting, under contract, or 5:01, I was posting, spring ideas on cleaning your gutters and this and that, as real estate. But there's also 3 hours between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. that you can also post as well if you're really truly trying to commit to your, 9 to 5 or your other career.
That is a great, great point. I actually never thought of that's really thoughtful, Jen, to not post during your like paid salary time.
Yeah, that was one thing I held really true to because one, I didn't ever want to have to be terminated because, that's just embarrassing. It happens. And I just wanted to hold true to that. Plus, they paid me a very fair salary and I felt like I owed that commitment to them. Now, don't get me wrong, I took calls and I would actually, when I was on the Incurvia team, I would actually work out of their office because I was in the community, but I would work both, real estate and then doing emails for my hospice job. But yeah, I mean, you have to find your commitment to, okay, I'm a realtor, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Those are hours, but it actually worked out extremely well for me because if you think about it, majority of your clients work a 9 to 5 too. They don't want to be or cannot be bothered between the hours of 9 to 5. So, 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock, it's all game, while they're commuting into work or, getting ready. And then evenings was my key time. So it actually worked out really nicely.
Yes, that is such a great point. You mentioned even using your business to get, your other job to get business. Brian, I'm curious, has your being a teacher been a lead source for you? In what ways do you nurture relationships in the school to possibly get a client from them?
So yes, it has. At first, it's a little difficult because you've worked with some of these people for, 10 years, 15 years, and they know you as a teacher or a nurse or whatever. So it's kind of hard all of a sudden to, let's go look at this $400,000 house and buy it because I know all this information about it or whatever. Because it's almost like a imposter syndrome almost. So I think it just consistency, kind of what Jen was saying about like posting on Facebook and things like that, because they follow, me on there. So they see that I'm in Canton this day or in Akron or wherever. And I think it's almost more important for the people that have dual jobs or, more than one job to post so your coworkers see that, you're busy in real estate as well.
It's giving you more validity the more you're posting.
Yeah.
And if you guys are on here and you haven't really fully launched your real estate career and you're in the beginning stages, post the open houses you're at, post like whatever you're doing active in real estate, post it, because I think perception's everything. It doesn't necessarily have to be a sold at first. people want to connect through stories anyways, not necessarily a sold post. So I think it's so important. And also, if you don't have a ton of business yet, you can still be creative and show that you're like working in the field. Jen, let me go back to you. What are some of the biggest challenges that you faced as a dual career agent and how'd you overcome them?
Just trying to put a good system in place at home. I mean, as a mother, as a wife, you always, laundry, cooking, cleaning. I found that it is more beneficial for me to hire a cleaner for $125 a week that would clean this house, and I would spend, that time while she's staying, cleaning for 3 hours. I did 3 hours of marketing. And so it was beneficial for me because, you have to learn to find your balance and hire out. We ended up hiring a nanny. We have a nanny half time, 8:30 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon for our toddlers. And then I still have a balance because I still can come in and be a mom, 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock before I head out for evening showings. So yeah, just learning to hire out or ask your sphere for help. Your family, your loved ones say, listen, from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock before I start my day job, I would like to do some marketing. I want it, quiet and see if your spouse will, pick up some slack. It's overwhelming until you ask for the help. And that's what we did eat out a lot more. A lot of leftovers and things like that. But at the end of the day, I wasn't in that journey of my life where I wanted to cook. And so it worked out really good. Now I cook almost every single day because from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock, I never have showings. People don't want to see homes until, that 5, 6, 7 o'clock. Or if I do get an elderly client, they want to see it in the morning before they go play pickleball. And so it works out good. I now can have that opportunity to do the things that I didn't do when I had that dual career. And if you think of the end goal, okay, I'm going to hire a cleaner. I'm going to, order HelloFresh, and I'm going to grind out and work these two careers, save up money, and then be able to transition into your goal of working real estate full time. And then you'll have plenty of time to do the things that you weren't.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Brian, what about you? Were there any, I don't know if you have any challenges that you face as a dual career agent. If
My
you
wife.
don't, what'd you say?
Nothing. Didn't
Well,
say my wife.
Yeah. He's not lying.
No, I mean, the biggest thing is time. Like that's, trying to coach the boys football team, and, we have investment properties. So managing tenants there, and, the teaching stuff is just a consistent, 8 to 3. But I think that has helped out with the systems more than anything because, and we kind of just talked about this the other day, but, normally if it's 9 in the morning, I may be at the gym or doing something outside or cleaning in the summertime. But during the school year, I'm forced to be in front of that computer or sitting at that desk for 6 hours, and there's a lot of downtime in teaching. So, during the school year, I'm able to do a lot of lead gen and a lot of follow up and systems and making sure, pendings and title companies and lenders and everybody's, getting a fair shake because I'm forced to sit, at my desk for X hours a day.
Mm-hmm. I am privileged to be alongside your real estate journey. And I'll tell you, Brian does not he doesn't not dot an I or cross a T. Every detail is handled way better than myself. I want to ask you one other thing, Brian, and sorry I didn't send this to you, but you mentioned the imposter syndrome, which I think is we're hearing that term a lot right now anyways. And I think it's a very real thing when you first get into real estate. Did anything help you get over that outside of just simple experience? Anything else you'd say as far as the imposter syndrome?
I think it's experience because, most like how I think Jen was and how I am, where you've been in a career so long and you're, I don't know if successful is the right word in that, but just you've been in a career so long, you haven't interviewed for a job, you haven't done anything like that. And, just consistently, well, now you have something new where you don't have all the answers right away. Obviously I had you at home to ask any questions I needed. So I think anybody that's new into it, having a mentor is like the biggest thing, whether that's being on a team or a different realtor they know that, they could ask questions instead of just going crazy for 2 hours or trying to make up an answer that might not even be right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't think the imposter syndrome. I think that's probably person to person, and if this is your first career or you're early into it, it might not be the same as someone that's established into a field and then trying to change into a different field.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Do either of you, this is to either one of you. We touched on this a little bit, Jen, but I had it written down as a full question. Did you ever get pushback from your clients on being a dual career agent? I know you mentioned you might have lost a couple. Is it something you would even share and be transparent about? What would you recommend to agents on the call who are dual career? Is it something you're transparent about? Do you hide it? Is it an advantage, a disadvantage? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, so you got to think about this, and I have a psychology background, so a little bit of everything I do plays back on where's the mindset of the client. Have they had bad situations in the past? And the more questions you ask will open up that avenue on what you can or can't say or what they'll be comfortable with. I'll be 100% transparent. I never lied. I would never lie. I always am very proud of who I am and what I've done and what I can do. And I've explained, I have lost clients that just were not comfortable with the fact that I also had another career, but it was those were the clients that they were interviewing, like 15 agents. And I'm pretty sure the one who brought them a basket of muffins won their love. And so I wasn't too upset. I've never, ever lost a listing over it. And I don't think I've ever been asked if I work real estate full time. Now, you bet your buttons, I'm that mean realtor now advertising on Facebook. If people are looking for a realtor, I will be the first to comment full-time realtor because I'm proud of that. And that's where I am now. And it's no poke fun or, punt to anyone else that's working a dual career. I just know that I'm in it now for me full-time and I want to be proud of that. So but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't advertise I'm a dual realtor, I work full time at another job or something like that. But I think that there's ways to be transparent about it without advertising it.
Mm-hmm. Without a doubt. Brian, what would you say? Have you got much pushback from clients?
No, same thing. I don't advertise it, but with education, I just had a listing appointment a few weeks ago, and especially if you don't know the people, like if it's something a lead from someone else, and she mentions she works at one of the schools, so right away I'm like, oh well, I'm also in education as well, trying to. But when Jen was saying that, I was thinking back to a different listing appointment I had where the guy was a college professor, and he was definitely like type A, and I mentioned that to him, and now that I'm thinking back on it, I'm thinking maybe I shouldn't have said that to him because I didn't get the listing, and I'm pretty sure like he was the type that would be like, want full access at all times, which I feel like I provide that anyway. But that would be the only one I could think of where there was some pushback. But nothing that he said to me, just thinking back on it right now.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I know I mentioned this earlier, but I don't know if we got an answer from you, Brian. Have you procured any buyers or sellers that you do work with?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And and then we kind of talked, I like just posting on social media constantly. We did a Super Bowl Squares thing where for past clients where we just like give out $500 for, normal Super Bowl Squares. And then we'll get to like 70 or something, then I'll just fill it with like 30 people from school. And teachers are about the cheapest people that you could be. So like if they have a chance to win $100 on the Chiefs kicking a field goal in the second quarter, then before the half, they,
they're doing it.
then you have to explain to them that they didn't win $5,000 and it's only 100. But no, but things like that kind of just lets them know. Anytime we have like a baby shower or not baby shower, but someone's getting married or someone's having a baby, we send them a gift just because when we normally probably wouldn't, but just something small because, if it's $50 now and it could be, a house sale. Because, with teachers, there's lots of young ones that are just starting to get married in the process. There's plenty that are having babies that are looking to upgrade. And then there's plenty at the end of their career looking to downsize. So
Mhm. I think that is a great, great point. And it goes back to it's 100% the relationship business. And so many people, I think when they first start, and if they are dual career, it's, well, I don't have the time. I don't have a sphere that's big. Everyone you work with, like, they are your sphere as well. And just like Brian's sharing, it's funny to also see this. I noticed like he never used to comment on Facebook, and now he's, wow, that's
uh,
amazing. Congratulations. And Jen,
and I
you,
hate doing it. I hate doing it. It's not me, but it works, and I'm loving everything. And the great, that room looks great, and oh, the kids are getting so big, and yada yada yada. But I notice those people will comment on my stuff, and that just builds traction.
it does. It's a way to stay top of mind. And Jen, you said it earlier too, Facebook during that time, like it's a great lead gen source because you don't have ample time. So it's a great way for two-way communication with your sphere. Um, I know we touched on work-life balance, and Jen, you shared leverage. One thing I also want to touch on with you, and then Brian, I'll ask you what your maybe path is. But Jen, what made you finally be able to step out of nursing? And I mean, you had actually a lot of things going on. What made you make the decision to go full-time into real estate? Was it, I had to reach a certain level of production? Is it a goal you worked towards? Could you give us a little insight of what that journey looked like from juggling all the plates to full-time realtor?
Yeah, so I think ultimately the real answer to that is, what did I love? I felt like I was running in a hamster wheel. And, I loved the ton of money coming in. I had my salary, I owned my horse boarding facility, real estate money. It was phenomenal. But at the end of the day, I just wasn't happy. And I felt that I was holding myself back in the real estate world by devoting 40 hours a week to my full-time career. So I ultimately told my husband, I said, let's figure out financially where we need to be, what we need to do, get rid of extra subscriptions, this and that. So we kind of honed in on our finances, made sure we came up with like, hey, each month I need to bring this in to hit a little bit into savings, and then also, pay for health insurance, because that was going to be an additional cost we lost when I left my full-time job. And then also like, what are our monthly expenses? And once him and I kind of powwowed, got on the same page, I said, okay, I say we sell the horse boarding facility because that's pulling time away from my real estate career as well. And I'm kind of guilty. I would literally play with ponies all day long and not do any marketing, which I do that kind of at home now because I brought my horse home, but don't tell my husband that. So we ultimately needed to make a decision, like, what's my true happiness? And it's real estate. And what am I good at? My teenager's now licensed. I've brought him on a couple of appointments, and he looks like he sees a zombie when I talk real estate lingo. He's like, Mom, you're really good at this. I'm like, yeah, I know. And so it was my passion. So we needed to figure out. We got rid of, cable TV. We don't need that. We got rid of, extra little expenses here and there, cruised it down to one vacation a year, and things like that. So, it's what you want to do. You need to figure out a plan, put it in place. Mine took 2 years to execute on. I, wanted to make sure that everything was in line, and we did it.
That's great. So you had patience, and yeah, I think that's wonderful. And Brian, you might be on a different end. I don't know if you've have an end date in mind. What do you foresee? Like, could you see maintaining teaching and real estate? Do you have a plan as far as that goes?
um, no, kind of had different things in mind and have kind of hit those goals, but it's with buying investment properties, the W-2 looks a lot better, trying to get loans for that. So, I mean, what I have always told you was that, once we exhaust every loan we could get with a W-2, then look to do that. But I mean, it's overwhelming at times now, but also to me, like I enjoy doing the work. So
Mhm.
not that I don't have the love for teaching like I did. But yeah, so I think it's soon, but nothing imminent.
Yes, for sure. Uh, Something I heard you both say is when you start, I wrote this down to circle back to it. If you are starting and you're not on a team, like be sure you're in productivity coaching. I think having that mentor, even if you're out of productivity coaching, having somebody to turn to is super duper important. Know the leverage you have inside of the brokerage, inside of these are agents who are in it together with you. Everyone's so willing to help. So I have people be aware of that. Um, of those who are on the call, first off, I'll ask Jen and Brian, do either of you have any last parting wisdoms? Like, gosh, I wish if I could rewind 5 years ago and I knew this, here's the advice I'd give. Anything you'd like to share? Parting words.
I think you have to work. I mean, it's not a job where you have a salary. You have to, and it's not, we're not selling, you're like, I think people sometimes will get desperate and then try to sell a house or, people are going to like the house and not like the house. Our job is to educate the people on things we see and from our experience. Um, so don't go that direction, but just you have to work and want to work.
Mm-hmm. Very good point. Jen, any last parting words from you?
Yeah. So for the years that you're overwhelmed, take it as a blessing. I know that sounds crazy. Like if you get a splinter in your finger, I'd be like, take it for a blessing because you still have a finger, right? But like the moments where I was so overwhelmed and had so many deals and so many crazy things going on and my full-time job was hard and it's a blessing because that's who you are and that builds resilience in you and your business. And if you can manage that, you can manage the worst of the worst. And I use that as examples when I'm on listing appointments and trying to win myself over. I can handle 7 deals going sideways at one time and sit in on meetings with CEOs and, play it as your win, your big win. But, you know, real estate comes in waves. And so there's times where it's going to be so crazy and you want to cry. And then there's going to be times where it's so slow you want to cry because you want that crazy and you want those commissions coming in. So it is all a blessing. It is, and God only puts in your hand what you can handle. So find the strength within to just power through it, or don't be afraid to ask for help. And yeah, you back to the team thing. And if you feel you're more successful on a team and you'll get more support, I was 100% team. I had recruiters calling me every single day, trying to get me off the team or trying to get me onto another team, when my numbers were so high. And if you have a system that works, stick with it and don't be afraid to ask for help and lean on people because we're all here to support each other.
Yep, 100%. I greatly appreciate both of you for being here today. I know I mentioned if you have any questions, you could put it in the chat. Unmute if you feel you have any questions. I'm going to assume we don't have any since I don't see any in the chat. I am so thankful to be here with both of you today. Jen, I'm so proud of your career path. Brian, I see you in the thick of it now, and we are honored to be in business with both of you. And thank you all for being here.
Jill, if you have anyone that has questions or like isn't comfortable talking on a Zoom or wants to talk to me, anyone can call me at any time, no matter if it's a real estate question, if it's a life balance question, anything like that. I'm sure you guys know I've always been an open book and pretty transparent, or if they want to see, what would work for them, or if they need help with some time management, I'm here to help whomever.
That's so wonderful, Jen. Thank you so much. We got a great thank you from Gina. She said, good to feel like I'm not the dual career Lone Ranger. You are not alone, Gina. We're all in this with you. Jen, thank you for saying anyone could reach out to you. Brian, I'm sure you would say the same. And you all have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye
Bye.
bye.